All right, thank you everybody for joining me for Filipino martial arts. We'll bow the class in. As we always do, we acknowledge the martial arts from all over the world, even above and beyond the ones we're training. So abbreviated Chinese, left hand over the right fist up to your forehead, left hand over your heart, abbreviated Filipino. Tai is the super easy one right here, the Y position. Your left hand makes a table for your right hand, abbreviated Indonesian. Fantastic. Drop that left hand at your side, tap your chest with your right hand, and go palm down to your right side, French and Dog Brothers. And then Japanese, we're gonna give a little bow. All right. I'm immediately gonna jump, and I'm gonna go quickly because I have a lot I wanna cover with you this evening. I want to review the material that we've been building, which is some of my core Inosanto La Costa material. And then I want to get into stick fighting. I want to talk a little bit about Dog Brothers. I want to talk some specific Pekiti Tirsia material, talk about the practice of interpreting and teaching and passing on multiple systems while being reverent to your sources. And then also looking at some things specifically that are really good for stick fighting, whether that's soft stick sparring all the way to something like a Dog Brothers gathering, okay? So again, I'm gonna kind of go quickly unless anybody, if you have a question, like, shake your hand and then come over and either type it in the chat or unmute yourself. So let's review my first numbering system that I teach in my FMA core curriculum is Eskrima 1. So angle 1, angle 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, backhand side, arc thrust, beautiful. 8, flip that and hit them in the right temple. Let the stick go low. 9, rising diagonal to the left knee. 10, backhand rising diagonal to the right knee. 11, flip it over and hit them in their left temple. Bring it down to your right side and thrust up for 12. Beautiful. Everybody looks great. And I saw most everybody do it correctly. Remember, for 12, we end on our left shoulder, not our right shoulder, because my right shoulder, look how overexposed I am. My left shoulder, it's really easy to come back and mount some kind of counter offense or response, okay? I'm gonna bring my wife in super fast. She's helping me out tonight, although the majority of what we're gonna do is probably gonna be solo. So you just scarecrow, you literally stand there. So 1 and 2, clavicle to hip, clavicle to hip. So 1 forehand, 2 backhand. 3 midline, 4 midline, 5 is palm up thrust to the stomach. 6 is either chest or clavicle area, forehand side. 7 is arc thrust, same targets on the other side. Without opening your hand, flip this and hit the temple. And what I mean by that is this. And then you commend yourself, man, my wrist is so flexible. I know a lot of systems will open their hand when they twirl. I simply don't agree. I don't agree as a stick fighter. Usually, unless it's somebody with a crazy high skill level, if I see that as a habit, I can't wait to knock the stick out of their hand. And I'm talking my own preferences as a fighter and how I teach things, okay? So if you come from a system where they do that, I'm not standing here telling you that it's bad. I'm telling you that doesn't fit my preferences as a stick fighter, okay? So 7, 8, 9 is a rising diagonal to her left knee. 10 is a backhand rising diagonal to her right knee. 11, I hit the left temple. And 12, I go up center line for whatever I can get. Okay, thank you. Okay, so over my shoulder, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5. When I teach it, I always say, do your Popeye impression, like you're showing off how buff your forearm is. Little bit of curvature, twirl there. So It just gives it a little bit more oomph. Are there times in the Filipino martial arts where we express that straight? Absolutely. That's just not what we're doing here. This one is supposed to be a little curved, okay? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And again, that's called Eskrima 1, as it was taught and explained to me by Sifu Guru Bud Thompson out of Whittier, California, full instructor under Guru Inosanto. That was the first 12-angle numbering system that Guru Dan used to teach at the old Torrance Academy, his first commercial location. So that's the one that I teach first. Frankly, for working with new people, the first 5 angles are the most important thing. And I know I have a group with a lot of experience. You're not new. But in terms of like the very first time I work with somebody, the first 5 angles are very manageable for most people. Forehand diagonal, backhand diagonal, forehand horizontal, backhand horizontal, palm up thrust. Very simple, okay? Where we go from here is the backhand series. So we start with just this backhand watik, and we start being able, you know, as your feeder is giving you the angles, you're here in this backhand position, just at Largo range, picking them off, right? And then we have so many follow-ups, which most of this group we've been working on. So I'm going to go a little faster unless there's any questions. The first variable is just to do the backhand destruction. The second variable is to destroy and make the X. So destroy X. So always come back. Lately in my teaching, I've been calling, when I teach this sequence, this position, the backhand position, or excuse me, the home base position. So I'll say, come back to home base before you do anything. Everything needs to start and stop in home base. Because the number one mistake, none of you are doing this, and I don't think ever did this, but the number one mistake people make is they'll backhand, they'll open angle 1, angle 2, and now you're trying to do the backhand series from the forehand side. It's kind of hard. So always come back to home base, okay? So backhand to X is the first follow-up. Backhand to backhand redondo is the second follow-up. If you're in Dog Brothers, I'm not making a joke. We call this brondo because backhand redondo has too many syllables. And in Dog Brothers, because different terminology is, different words are used in different ways across systems. Like in Inosanto La Costa, sombrada is counter for counter training. If you're in Lameco, sombrada is the name of this roof block. So there's no consistency across systems. So in Dog Brothers, Punong Guru Marc, Crafty Dog, he tends to give things silly because we don't take ourselves too seriously because what we're doing is already serious enough. Silly names so that you remember them. So instead of backhand redondo, 5 syllables, brondo. Okay, so I'm teaching some different things here. So the third variation, backhand, brondo, backhand, brondo. That's the third variation. Fourth variation, backhand X to redondo. So mix those previous 2 follow-ups. Backhand, make the X, then hit the redondo, right? So 3 beats of follow-up. Destroy the hand, 1, 2, 3 beats of follow-up. The next variation, that's 4, just the destruction to X, the redondo, X to redondo. Redondo to X is the 5th one. Destroy, redondo to the X, right? So destroy, redondo to the X. That's the 5th one. The 6th one and the 7th one, you just have to kind of memorize them. 6 is the kilot. So the kilot is 3 beats. Vertical flip to the top of the head or the face, X. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Those 3 beats, 1, 2, 3, make up a sagita called kilot. Kilot means lightning because it's just supposed to blitz. Okay, so That's the 6th variable in the backhand series. Destroy, make the key lot for whatever angle you've taken out, right? And then the 7th and final variable is split the Kawayan. So split the Kawayan has 4 beats. Loop the angle 1, down the 2 line, back up the 9 line, vertical backhand redondo. And like we were looking at last week, beat 1 is different than beat 4 because, oh, did I lose everybody? Everybody still here? Okay, all right, sorry, it looked like.
I had some lag, Bryan, but we're all back, I think.
Awesome, okay. My internet has been really, really, really good. I've gotten really spoiled because probably the best way would be to jack in to my router, but my router is on the other side of the room. So far, my wireless has been like flawless, except for that moment. So, okay, so let's get back to the split the Kawayan. So this was angle 1, right? When we were doing it by itself. This is still angle 1, just the first beat of split the Kawayan, I'm doing it from my backhand side. So it's very sneaky because when you're in the backhand chamber, most of the time people don't expect you to hit them on the forehand side. They're expecting this to come out in some way. So to get hit on the left side of your body is very strange when you're seeing this, okay? So we loop that clavicle shot. We go down the 2 line, back up the 9 line, and then this is a vertical, a brondo, as we were training it. So beat 1 and beat 4 are different. Loop it, down the line, up the line, vertical backhand redondo or brondo. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. That Sagita, that follow-up pattern is called split the Kawayan, and that's our 7th variable. So I'll do this quickly for the whole group. We'll just do 1 rep of everything. So an angle's coming in, we just destroy it. That's the first variable, just the destruction. The second angle's coming in, we destroy it and we make the X. That's the second variable. Very simple. It's almost anticlimactic because you know so much at this point. You already knew so much. The third variation is a single redondo, right? So we destroy redondo or brondo. Fourth variation is the X to the redondo. Destroy the angle, make the X, hit the redondo. Redondo to X is the 5th one. Destroy redondo to the X. Nice. The key lot is the 6th one. Destroy the angle, flip to the X. Those 3 beats are key lot. And then the 7th and final variable is our split the Kawayan, which I was just explaining. Destroy, loop it, down the line, up the line, brondo. Okay, so where we went from here is we went into long and short. So grab a dagger or short stick. Let me get one as well. I'm still here, everybody. Give me 1 second. All right. Okay, so we have long and short. So what we added in, and this really has its roots in Pekiti Tirsia, but Pekiti Tirsia is so, especially old school Pekiti Tirsia is so intermingled with Inosanto La Costa that sometimes it's really hard to, because Inosanto La Costa is a composite system, and Guru Dan teaches whatever he's in the mood to teach during the times that he teaches FMA class at the academy. So now where we were taking this structure when we were single stick, the short weapon is in my complementary hand and I'm holding it point up. And if it's an edged weapon, you know, with the business end pointed at my opponent. So here we were looking at 3 modalities, and we had to understand some additional tools. So we had the 4 count: temple, toe smash, chin, temple. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I told you this in the past few weeks. On beat 2, I'm not necessarily stabbing with the dagger. I'm moving both arms to make that toe smash faster. Sometimes I think people think that I'm stabbing with this. I mean, of course, in a real situation, that would be an option. But I'm just moving my complementary hand to make my dominant hand faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. Temple, toe smash, chin, temple. Leave it out there after beat 1, right into the toe smash, straight back up the line to hit the chin, and right from beat 3, which is this, flip it over and hit the temple and go back to home base. So where we want to get is, as opposed to having to think about 4 movements, that when I say do the 4 count, it's just one technique and you have it down, okay? Then the first modality was all 7 of the variables from the backhand series to the 4 count. So I'm not going to do them all because you're all smart enough to get it, and your practice time is your own time. I'd rather use the time here to teach you more material. The first variable was just the destruction into my 4 count. The second variable was destruction to the X into my 4 count. I'll only do the third, up to the third one. Destruction to the Brondo to my 4 count. So on your own time, please make sure you can do all 7 that I just went over with you when we were in single stick to the 4 count. The next tool with long and short involves both weapons. It's the 5 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's really more the way that I was taught that the 5 count and trained it for many, many years at the Inosanto Academy, where this is like a thrust. Beat 2 is slashing energy. 3 and then 4 is a backhand thrust into 5. And then later I had some students, I don't know if they saw this or were just doing it, they were doing it more like slashes. So see, this is a slash on B2, 4. So beat 2 and 4 are slashes, whereas the way that I was taught, beat 2 has that energy, and then beat 4 is a straight backhand thrust that opens up from your center line. But either of those are acceptable as long as you can do the 5 count. Once you own the 5 count, the next modality is to be able to do all of the 7 backhand series variables into just the 5 count. So I was up to 3, so I'll do 4 and 5. Backhand X to the redondo into my 5 count, backhand redondo to the X into my 5 count. Okay, so all the variables into just the 4 count, all the variables into just the 5 count. And then the third and final modality that we've been building over the last few weeks, we have to develop our 4 count into our 5 count. So the moment this goes to home base, I launch into a 5 count. I finish my 4 count and immediately go into my 5 count. So I want to be able to do my 4 count to my 5 count. And I see some people repping it out. Looks beautiful. And that's the final modality for the 7. So I did up to 5. So I'll do 6 and 7 from this vantage point. Destroy, make the key lot into the 4 count, into the 5 count, right? And then split the Hawaiian is last. Destroy into my split the Hawaiian, into my 4 count, into my 5 count, okay? So that's really where we want to be for Largo tool development for long and short. There's certainly more we can go into, but those are, and usually that's a long time coming. I mean, when it, as far as like brand new people, but I have a very experienced group in front of me. You're all very good already, excellent, experienced practitioners. Questions about that? Because that leaves us a good about 23 minutes. I really want to start building and talking about dog brothers and stick fighting and sort of how the worlds cross. So before I do that, and it'll give me a chance to take a sip here and stop talking for a moment. Any questions about what we've already done?
Where does the word Hawaiian come from?
That I wish I knew the answer. I like honesty and transparency, Rodney. I don't really know the origin of that word. It certainly sounds very Hawaiian to me, but I'm guessing. That is one I need to write down, and the next time I see Guro Inosanto, I need to ask him, because that's one of those terms. I just don't know the answer, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Is it because of Kauai, the island in Hawaii? Like, is it regional, like specific? You know how like they have in the Philippines, like there's Cebuano versus the whole Manila. There's only 7 islands in Hawaii, so I thought
Right.
it was Kauai.
Right. It sounds very similar to that. Yeah, you caught me in one of those questions. The last few years I've seen Guru Dan, I've meant to ask him, and I just keep forgetting to ask. So I need to, for my own, being a responsible instructor, I should probably know the answer to that question, but I like to be honest. That's one that eludes me at this time. But I'll do a little bit of research, and maybe I'll have an answer before next week, okay?
Because I know he never visited the Philippines, and so like from Stockton brand, was it a migration from Hawaii to Stockton?
Well, there certainly was, like Floro Villa Brea and that line. There was the Hawaiian influence and the Hawaii-based practitioners. So there may be some. Again, I'm going out on a long shot when I say it sounds Hawaiian, but I mean I've been to Kauai and I know what you're talking about, but unfortunately I just don't know the specifics on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, but thank you for reminding me to find out. So that'll be good. I'll make a note. Maybe try, maybe like one of the senior people in the association that knows the answer to that. That's a great question, and I need to get clear on that. Any other questions? All right. So I'm going to talk briefly. If you know me, you're probably laughing because talking briefly is not one of my skill sets, but I'm gonna keep it very, very brisk here and move on. So in the late 80s, there were a group of Inosanto practitioners, and a lot of this was spearheaded by Eric Knaus. And Guru Eric had moved from the East Coast, where he had trained with Grand Tuhon Gaje in Pekiti, Tirsia, and a lot of the first gen, like Tom Bizio type people. And Eric had moved west and kind of hooked up with Marc Denny, who's now Punong Guru Marc Denny, because they both, Punong Guru Marc is originally from New York City. Eric and Marc, the gurus Eric and Marc, both attended Columbia, and they both had met at Columbia University. So flash forward to a few years later, here was the thing, and I want to be very respectful because I just am very respectful. That's how I do business. What was concerning to them at the time was stick fighting environments with an excess amount of padding, where, not that was the problem, here was the problem, where the mentality was I only took 15 headshots and I scored 22 headshots on you, therefore I am the winner. And their thought process, not, again, seriously, not that there's anything wrong with padded stick fighting, that kind of mentality, a false sense of belief in one's skills based around the padding, that was what was very concerning to Guru Eric and Punong Guru Marc at the time. So 1988, a small group of people gathered in a park in South Orange County in Southern California, and out of that essentially comes the Dog Brothers martial arts group. And there are two pathways, and a lot of people don't know this. There's the fighter's pathway and there's the practitioner's pathway. So for fighters, they go dog, candidate dog brother, full dog brother, and then the practitioner's pathway, there is actually a curriculum. A lot of people are surprised by that. They think that people just get in there and wail on each other. And I mean, that does happen, but there is a curriculum and a really refined, sophisticated one at that. And then there are those of us who can't help ourselves that are full dog brothers and instructors. And I kind of feel like in that I have, you know, the best of both worlds, because this is not a statement of ego. A lot of things like hand shots, I don't have to theorize about them. I've both hit people in their hands super hard, and I've been hit in my hands super hard, and I can share the experience. So last thing I'll say about, you know, Dog Brothers, it's really, there is really a brotherhood, sisterhood, laboratory type of environment, as opposed to like macho chest thumping, I'm the most dangerous mother effer in the whole world. It's very much not that, like not the people that last. Okay, so very briefly, you know, for the sake of it, fencing masks, and this is a second generation fencing mask. First gen mask was like tinfoil. That's where I'll say some of those first gen guys were even crazier than the outside world might call us, because this does not protect you from a knockout, but this will absolutely, like a glancing shot, you know, you won't have any damage. A little bit of a to-do has been made. My very first gathering, I brought hockey gloves. I just didn't know any better. That's what I had. Punong Guru Marc didn't know me very well, so he kind of barked at me. Sorry, bad pun. What are those hockey gloves? Those are too thick. And he loaned me a pair of thinner gloves. That kind of stuck with me, and I didn't set out to prove anything. These are my gloves that I've done probably, I don't know, 46 of my 50 Dog Brothers fights in. I did a little bit of fighting in the Philippines for Pekiti, Tirsia, with live sticks. I still fought in these. And again, this isn't me trying to prove anything. This isn't me implying that nobody can hit me in the hands hard enough to do any damage. This is how I got started fighting around like 2006, and these are my gloves. I fight in these gloves. It's like these are my babies, okay? That absolutely does not, like, my thumb is still, I got hit in the thumb, so in February in the Philippines, and I mean, that's kind of what happened. So, that being said, I am a Dog Brothers instructor. I am not allowed to teach like the entire system, because the curriculum is how Punong Guru Marc really makes his living at this point. I am allowed to teach you the basics, and I am absolutely allowed to teach you things from my own curriculum that are related, that I think will help you in stick fighting. So we're gonna go single stick. We're gonna be in a right lead, and this is probably gonna be a little anticlimactic. I'll use the B word. It might even be a little boring for you, but this is really important. Hold the stick in your dominant side. So if you're right-handed, you're in your right. If you're left, you're in a left. If you're right-handed, you're in a right lead. If you're left-handed, you're in a left lead. Now, for power shot 1, which is going to be this forehand, and it's not a diagonal. So what we like to say in Dog Brothers is it's one side of the hourglass. Like, it's not really a diagonal and it's not true vertical. It's kind of somewhere in the middle there. But what we want to do, I'm going to show you my feet for a moment here. For power shot 1, which is a forehand shot, I want to start with most of my weight on my lead foot, up off my rear heel, and I want to drop my weight back every time I swing that stick. Very much the same, I'll sink down a little bit so you can see my hands. Very much the same kind of body mechanics we teach when we teach the hook or the body hook. And what you want to do, as simple as this may be for some of you, hit the power shot 1, drop your weight back, and then reset everything. Then swing the next one. Your goal is to generate as much power as possible, as effortlessly as possible. And the secret in air quotes, the secret is that dropping of the body weight. Because if you need your arm, then only big, buff, strong people could hit hard. And that's simply not true. Power generation is about using proper body mechanics. Okay, nice. Good, okay. All right, now, power shot 2. Put the stick on your backhand side. Put your live hand inside on the forearm. It's the opposite as far as the weight distribution. So look at my feet. Most of my weight is on my rear foot now. I am very light on my lead foot. So for power shot 2, I want to drop my weight to the front and reset. If you're just swinging your stick and you're not resetting your body weight every rep, you're missing it. Okay? And rep a few more out. Just get really comfortable with that. Try to generate as much power as possible. On the high line, keep your live hand, that's your unarmed hand, inside. Don't drop this. On this one, on 1, this has got to be up. On 2, this has got to start inside. And work, it's not quite one side of the X, and it's not quite vertical. It's in between. That's a harder angle to fight. Okay, so take a few more swings. I'm just kind of looking at everybody. And let it go all the way to your other shoulder. Don't stop it. Let it go through. Nice. All right. And one point I didn't make. Go back to your forehand side. Put your weight in the front. For the forehands, which is 1 and 3, your live hand can literally pull. So I can pull with this hand, pull this through the power arc as a power assist. Here. On the backhand side, which this is my preference, what I'm about to show you, my live hand can push. It pushes and makes that way harder, okay? The backhand side is more natural for me. I'm not saying the pull isn't good. Everybody try that. I'm just talking about my preferences. So if you want to start with your weight in the front, bring your left hand up, literally grab your forearm of the hand holding the stick. As you drop your weight back, pull it through the power arm. Yeah. Now on your backhand side, your live hand, it's going to push as you drop your body weight forward. Okay. And speaking of which, now let's go back to our forehand side. Power shot 3 has the same body weight mechanics as power shot 1. I'm starting with my weight in the front and I'm dropping it to the back. But 3 is going to be this high forehand horizontal. I want to hit if you're right-handed, it's their left temple, okay? If you're left-handed, it's their right temple. But that's that knockout shot, okay? That's Pekiti Tirsia angle 1, and from the contradas, that's also, I have a Balintawak instructorship. That's the first angle in that system of Balintawak. Instead of midline, like in angle 3 in the numbering system that I taught you, this is going straight to the temple. We're just looking to knock the person out. Okay, so that's 3. So play with having your weight in front, rip this high horizontal forehand, reset, generate as much power as possible, right? That's 3. You can also, because it's a forehand, you can play with pulling with your live hand. It pulls it through. This pulls, okay? And then 4 is, some of you are already doing it, is we start on the backhand side, so our weight is in back, is the high backhand horizontal. So 1, forehand, one side of the hourglass, 2, backhand, the other side of the hourglass, 3, high forehand horizontal, 4, high backhand horizontal. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. With again, I'm gonna focus on my feet. Now I'm gonna take the stick out of the equation. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. For 1, drop your weight back. For 2, drop your weight to the front. For 3, drop it back, just like 1. For 4, drop it to the front, just like 2. So the best parallel I can give you, if you do boxing, 1 and 3 are what we might teach people. I'm going to change my lead because that's my preference for my hook. How we get people to bring their body weight back, whether to the head or the body for a hook. That's for 1 and 3 because we're dropping our weight back. For 2 and 4, it's the way that I distribute my weight to the front for a cross or a straight right hand, right? So with the stick, 1 and 3, I start with my weight in the front and I drop it back. 2 and 4, I start with my weight in the back and I drop it to the front. The body weight rotation is more important than swinging hard with your arms. In fact, in this block of curriculum, we don't really want you swinging hard with your arms. Upper body should be as effortless as possible. Like, I'm not, let me swing hard. No, it's going to go slower. The more relaxed I am and the more I manipulate my body weight and my rotation, the harder that I'm going to hit. Okay? Now, what I'm about to say might be hard. I mean, Ivan, it looks like you're training in a nice martial arts space there. So you might be okay. In the future, for everybody, for this kind of work, a really great investment, and I gave mine away when I moved from California to New York, go to a hardware store, not now, when you can, and get an axe handle an axe handle. No axe, no blade, just the handle. I think the last one I bought for 15 bucks. And so what I have right now would be something like this. Like you can see that, yeah, there you go. Fantastic. Like you can see the diameter on this. This, I think this is like maybe 3 pounds-ish. My wife is sitting right here. I'm not going to swing this full force in our living room, even though I'm just not. But repping my power shots with something super heavy, something super oversized. That axe handle's great, or yeah, that's great. Even like very simple, a minute, like 60 seconds or 30 seconds, just power shot 1, boom, with perfect form, redistributing your body weight. And then say 30 seconds, power shot 2. And forgive me, guys, I'm not going to whistle this because I don't want to, my wife's right here. I don't want to destroy our living room. 30 seconds or 60 seconds of 3, power shot 3, reset your body weight every single time, and then 30 seconds, nothing but power shot 4. Then once you're done with that, complementary side, right? It's going to feel awkward as all get out, but you want to develop that bilateralism. Okay, so here's power shot 1, maybe for 30 seconds or 1 minute. Here's power shot 2, right? And I would work that for however much time. Power shot 3, high forehand horizontal. But again, it's the body weight management. For the forehands, it's in front and you drop it back. For the backhands, it's in back and you drop it to the front. That's the most important thing. Even if you do, let's say you don't have anything like an axe handle or a super heavy stick to train with right now, you don't need it. You can still take your regular stick. Here, like I have this. This is a super thin, super short stick that I'll use for like Balintawak training. And this, yeah, I see some people grabbing some different things, right? So, or maybe even untimed. And start to involve the other side. Develop that bilateralism. It's worth the investment, right? 2 is here. I'm getting a little on my, I notice on my complementary side, I'm getting closer to an X. Keep it more like the hourglass instead of an X. 3 is the high forehand horizontal. 4 is the high backhand horizontal. Okay, last thing we're going to take, we're supposed to close up. In Dog Brothers, we call these tails, like the dog's tail. That's, I'm telling you the literal truth. In a lot of Inosanto La Costa, we might say florete. And if you're in like a Doce Paris, you'll hear arco. Okay, so here's what I want you to play with. When you hit, 1, instead of just bringing it back, 1, twirl, twirl. That's it. So florete back to your starting position, right? Yeah, some of you are doing it. You look really nice. So this is, if I'm staring at my fist, I'm twirling counterclockwise. So 1, 2. Some people will do 3. 1, 2, 3. For me, that doesn't feel comfortable. 1, 2. Maybe I'm a shorter guy. Maybe that feels better, right? And then on your backhand side, here, 1, 2. Here, let it go. 1, 2. Right? So no matter which side you're on, you're developing that tail or that arco or that florete, right? Because to the uninitiated, if you, number 1, can effortlessly generate like bone crunching power, and then you have all these things in your arsenal. And again, I'm talking more about somebody who doesn't train if it's just like, I don't want to mess with that person. Number one, he swung the stick so hard that it whistled through the air. Number two, I can't even keep track of where the stick is at. I think I'm just going to call this and, not fight, right? It's kind of like a psych warfare kind of a thing, okay? So that's the arco, or again, the florete or the tail. You can start playing with that, like when you're doing 1, use your tail to get back, or 3, use your tail to get back. Then over here, here's 2, use your tail, or here's 4, use your tail to get back. Okay, so, everything we did, this was a really kind of solo training centric kind of a class today. The C-Lot, I used my wife a little bit more because I wanted to show some of the stand-up stuff. Any questions? I'm over time, everybody.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
I'm good.
I
Thank
just want
you.
to say thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for making the time to be here. I appreciate it. Okay, so my only commercial part of the broadcast, everybody, please make sure if you guys haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel that you do, please, because I upload all of the recordings from class to that channel, and I'm just trying to kind of grow my reach a little bit with that channel. But other than that, we'll be here again next week. If you all want to, and if you want to review what we did, the entire class and all of the classes get recorded, and again, they all end up on YouTube at my channel. So it's all there for you all to study from as we move through the weeks together. Okay, so let's just bow the class out, and then I'll stop the recording, and that's it. Okay, so left hand over the right hand fist, Chinese. Right hand fist up to your third eye, left hand over your heart, abbreviated Filipino. Tai is right here. Left hand makes a table for your right hand, abbreviated Indonesian. Drop your left, tap your chest, palm down to your right side is French and Dog Brothers, and then Japanese, we just give a little bow. And, kind of like I've been writing when I've been promoting our classes, stay safe, stay healthy. The plan is right now to continue these sessions at this time, even when things get back to normal, and I have every faith that things will get back to normal. So let's get some training in, everybody, in this context while we're all stuck at home. And then my plan is just to keep it going. So we'll be back at it on Monday. Mondays, 5 to 5:45, I teach Wing Chun. And then 5:45 to 6:30, I teach Jeet Kune Do. And it's exactly the same format if you'd like to join me. Otherwise, we'll be back at it next Wednesday. Okay? Thanks, everybody.
Great, thank you.
you.